Yeah. Let's focus first on this notion of
Right.
being aggressive, right? Aggression. Both sides of the ball will do it. Now,
Right.
Todd Bowles maybe a little too aggressive in going single coverage on Tyreek Hill when they played back in Week 12. But let's just look at the mindset of Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy going against Todd Bowles, and just that mentality of how they may try to attack each other. Will they be careful? Will they go for it?
Well, I think Andy Reid and company will go for it. I don't think they're going to be careful. Now, they'll be careful in the sense, I think, Mike, of, being conscious of protecting Mahomes with, like we've talked about, the moving of the pocket. I would think, they spread the field and get short passes and get the ball out of his hands that way, right? So, and then, of course, we're going to see all the movements and motions and things like that. I don't think Kansas City, their offense is arguably the greatest unit in the league, right? They're not going to bow down to anybody. They're going to make people adjust to them. I mean, that's just the simple fact of the matter. And that's where it's awesome because, you just said it, aggression. Todd Bowles is famous for blitzing and having creative blitzes. And I would just say, man, if there's a week to ever have opposites day for this is it. Like, he can't blitz, Mike. That would be the number one thing I would say. They blitzed 10 times the first time around. We talked about it yesterday. Mahomes was 6 for 9 for 114 yards and 2 touchdowns. And it was almost worse than that. Even on the 3 incompletions, it could have been bigger stats. So that's where I think the first adjustment of the game is Todd Bowles. You can't be Todd Bowles. It's going to have to be a different Sunday this week because of the Chiefs and Patty Mahomes in town.
Well, and with the offensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs,
right,
it potentially allows the Buccaneers to not blitz.
Right.
Now, Jason Pierre-Paul, we got to see what his final designation is today. He's got that knee problem. But if you can create pressure on Patrick Mahomes without sending extra guys, and that was the Dean Pease when he was the Titans defensive coordinator. That was his approach to Patrick Mahomes. He's still going to get the ball off if you blitz him, so what's the point? You may as well use those guys in coverage.
Right.
So without Eric Fisher, without Mitchell Schwartz, who remains on injured reserve and hasn't been activated and likely won't be activated, you got Mike Remmers plus, I can't even remember who, I don't know who the right tackle is going to be. All I know is Shaq Barrett and JPP are going to be trying to get around the end and get after Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes' foot, which he said will be 100%, that big toe, that turf toe that he had, he's going to be getting his cardio in because I think he's going to be moving around a lot on Sunday, kind of like what we saw him do last year to get away from Nick Bosa and company.
No doubt. It's going to be one of the keys to the game. But, Mike, I think that's the point as far as what you started off saying. It is. They got the flexibility, right? They got a front four that's special. They got 3 first-rounders on the front four and Shaq Barrett, who's a middle-round guy who led the NFL in sacks last year in 2019. Their team, and a lot of it, is built around that front four. Well, now's the time to pay the Pied Piper. I don't know if I said that right, but it sounded good coming out of my mouth, all right? But either way, now's the time. This is why you're here. It's this game. It's this moment. Yeah, you front four against, like you just talked about, that offensive line and guys that we don't know, right? They got to dominate that crew. And to me, that is the key of the game. Mike, I don't know. Would you blitz Patrick Mahomes and company? I just asked you
that.
Right.
No, I wouldn't. No.
You can't. And I would say also there's a fine line where no 3-man rushes either. You can't do a 3-man rush because he'll just buy time. That means there's going to be 2 double teams and then one guy that's going to be one-on-one. Great. He's going to make that guy miss and buy time, and that you can't cover forever. So that front four, it is on them. I look at it in a lot of ways, Mike, where I just go, it's that front four, it's drop 7. I think you heard me say this, but it almost needs to be like New York Giants playing the Buffalo Bills in Super Bowl 25. Just continue to play front four, 2 deep back, and go, run it, please, run it. We're begging you to run. And off of that, I go, Kansas City, you can't fall in the trap and run it. You can't do that. You don't want to do that either, at least in my opinion.
Same game plan from Super Bowl 36. Bill Belichick, same defensive mastermind, dared Mike Martz, the Rams coach, to run the ball with Marshall Faulk, and he refused. He kept throwing into. Now, Belichick did a lot of three-man, not four-man, but it's the same idea. You got to do two guys on Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Please, Buccaneers, don't experiment again with single coverage on Tyreek Hill like you did in Week 12. Don't do it. You got to double him, and you got to double Kelce. You got to put four guys on two. Then you got to take your chances with the other. Let me do the math here. You got four guys rushing, four guys covering two. You got three guys left for the other three or four guys that are going to be in the pattern. You got to hope that single coverage of the other guys is going to hold up. But there's, the only guy you don't account for then is Mahomes, and he could take off running the football. And we've seen that.
Yeah,
we've seen that. And look, when a guy decides to run the football, he becomes a running back, and that's all I'm going to say about it. Because I said enough last year.
Yes, you did. So, well, listen, they got to be physical if he's going to try to run and do those things. But, you said it. Yeah, Belichick, right? And the Rams-Patriots Super Bowl, Belichick versus the Bills and Jim Kelly and company and all of those type of things. But like you said also, those are three-man rush approaches. You can't do that. Mahomes is a lot more athletic than Jim Kelly and Kurt Warner. You need that extra guy to pursue him, or he's just going to continue to buy time against a three-man rush and tear it apart. So that's where I look at it. And, yeah, Tampa, like you said, it's all about coverage. I don't think they can really consistently match up and play man-to-man against the Kansas City Chiefs or do that stuff like you're talking about. It's help those guys. Whether you double them or at least they're, hey, we got a guy here, we're looking for Tyreek Hill to cross the field, so that's really all he's aware of. They need those extra guys to, clog some holes.
Carlton Davis, one of the guys that had a long, long day when the Buccaneers and the Chiefs got together in Week 12. Here he is talking about his inclination to be aggressive in Sunday's game.
I'm going to bring the same mentality. I'm going to always be myself. And it didn't work out the first game as far as what we did and our game plan, but we've corrected it. And we got a great game plan going in, and I'm going in with the same mentality, and that's to dominate. So just look out Sunday.
And look, that's what they need to do, a different game plan. Here is Carlton Davis, when in coverage in Week 12 versus the rest of the season. Week 12 did not work out well. 15 targets, 12 receptions for 236 yards. He was great the rest of the year. So
he's great.
They do need to figure out a better game plan than what they used in Week 12. Now, I want to make sure I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
If the Buccaneers do what we think they should do and basically dare the Chiefs to run, should the Chiefs run, or should Patrick Mahomes just be patient and wait for someone to spring open, assuming he can buy time long enough for someone to spring open?
I think that's it. Mike, I think if we're sitting here Monday morning going the Chiefs ran the ball well, we're going to go, well, the Buccaneers are the Super Bowl champions. I mean, that's to me. They ran the ball, well against the Bills in Week 6 there. And there they were, 225 yards rushing, and the Bills had the ball with a chance to go down and score and win the game. Mike, I mean, I think you and I are in agreement here. It's Carlton Davis is a real good player, but that's a different animal. You can't. That's Tyreek Hill. It's arguably the fastest guy in the history of football. They're a different animal, and yeah, I believe that even if the Bucs are playing too deep, 4-man rush, don't fall in the trap, Kansas City. That to me is what I would tell them. Your bread and butter, your moneymaker is Hill, Kelce, Mahomes, Watkins, McCole, Hardman. It's the greatest unit in football. So you can't get in the biggest game and now go, well, they're playing a defense that takes that away. So we're going to go to our B- run game now to do that. No, they got to go down swinging with their best punches. And, whether it's deep zones or things like that, that's where they got great, Mike, right? It's like, oh, it's too deep, it's zones, and then he's patient and throws it short. Oh, it's man-to-man. Now it's time to take your shot, Patty Mahomes. And I just think that should kind of be the formula for them off of what we talked about from the Buccaneers' perspective and their defense. I don't know. You tell me if you agree with that or not, or do you think they should run the ball?
When you explained it that way, it reminded me of the story of Bill Belichick, Super Bowl 25, your dad's New York Giants, him going into the defensive meeting room and introducing the concept to Lawrence Taylor and company that if Thurman Thomas has over 100 rushing yards, we'll win this game.
Right.
And I think they wanted to strangle him when he said that because they took great pride in stopping the run. They took great pride in not allowing someone to rush for over 100 yards. But he sold them on the idea that you drop back, you cover, you take steam out of the K-gun offense, and you force them to run the football. And they did. They did take the bait, and they did run the ball, and the Giants did barely win that game.
Right.
And I tend to agree with you that the Chiefs have to keep throwing the ball,
right,
even if it is short passing. Someone will eventually be open. That's going to be the key.
Right.
If Patrick Mahomes can buy the time, someone eventually gets open, even if you drop 7 guys into coverage and double Travis Kelce and double Tyreek Hill all game long. There's going to be someone who gets open if Mahomes can just move enough to outmaneuver JPP and Shaq Barrett.
Yeah, I agreed. I mean, hey, listen, this is a tough task. There's no doubt. The Buccaneers defense is good. But really, in reality, we're talking about an all-time offense. An all-time offense. So this is not going to be easy. I know the way we're kind of laying it out there right now, people might be like, well, then wait, do you think the Bucs can actually stop them? No, not really.
No.
I don't. I don't. But I do think that maybe if they play that way, that maybe it limits for, okay, now we're not blitzing. Tyreek Hill catches a slant, and at least we got an extra guy there to tackle him instead of him running for 70 yards. And then, of course, not leaving him on an island with, a Carlton Davis and doing those things. That gives you a chance, and to me at least gives now your front four a chance to maybe make that strip sack fumble, or Tyreek Hill catches the ball and gets hit just as he's catching it and he fumbles. It's going, in my opinion, to take that type of play or thing to kind of swing back the momentum in Tampa's favor here, because I do think the Chiefs are a little bit better.
It's one thing to go back and look at Chiefs versus Bucs from Week 12. There may be some value in going back and looking at Super Bowl 54 because – for most of the game, what the 49ers did worked.
Mm-hmm.
And that 10-point lead that felt like it was going to be enough evaporated quickly. This Bucs offense, which we'll talk about later in the program, better, as good, if not better, than the San Francisco offense last year because of the difference between Brady and Garoppolo.
Right.
What a weird time for a connection between those two to pop up because I wasn't thinking of that going into the comparison. My point, though, is maybe what the Buccaneers need to do, understand that, the Chiefs, it take them a little while to get going. You got to jump on them, or you got to try to build a lead. You got to try to get them in a spot where maybe that mistake is going to come.
Yeah.
Maybe Patrick Mahomes is going to get rid of the football before he's ready, and maybe Devin White is going to be there to make a play, or Carlton Davis, or Antoine Winfield Jr., or somebody's going to make a play and keep the Chiefs from matching whatever the Bucs are able to do, or if the Bucs can build a lead to keep the Chiefs from chipping away at it. Now, that's not going to be easy because Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.